City Foundry in St. Louis with Yvan and Clayton. I'll have them introduce themselves.
I'm Clayton Elkins. I own Downright Entertainment, and then I work for Submission Agency as a booking agent.
That's awesome, man. I still love that. What's up? I'm Yvan. I'm the general manager for Jamo Presents and the tour manager and audio engineer for Boogie T and Boogie Trio.
You are looking at the two people who are pretty much paving the way for bringing music safely back to St. Louis right now. So we're just going to kind of reminisce at the very beginning of COVID. What were your initial thoughts about pretty much what you do?
Okay, well, reminiscing, so we actually had just started Boogie Trio's tour with Sodown, and we had literally gotten on the road like the day that the news started to really hit, and we played our first show in Champaign, but before we even started the show, we knew that we were canceling the rest of the tour. So tough day. We tried to get to Minneapolis to play a show, but that morning the mayor shut down the city of Minneapolis, so that was a no-go. So we had the bus paid for a week, so we piled onto the bus. Some people flew out, and we drove home. I definitely started that drive with a pretty good hangover, but eventually we got to a point where I was thinking about what came next, and honestly, my first thought was, finally, some time off. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was welcoming the time down, and I thought it was going to be like a month, maybe two, and I definitely knew I needed it. So to be honest, I was like, woohoo, let's go, time down. Yeah.
And you?
For me, so it was March 14th was the day that the city shut down, and that morning, that night we were actually supposed to be doing Nocturnal Noise with Yeti, Kalo, Attorney and Sound, Chill Smith, which was going to be one of our largest events of the year. We were already close to selling out before the doors. So we, made the decision. The owner of 2720, showed concerns, and we were concerned as well. So we canceled the show the day of the show. It was really hard. It was a really hard decision to make, but we knew what we were doing was best for the community and safety, because at the end of the day, our main concern is to take care of the guests and well-being of the attendees. And if we're putting them in an unsafe environment where they could potentially get sick, we aren't doing our due diligence as promoters and event curators, putting them in that space. So there was a lot of backlash from kids who had just gotten into town. We sold tickets in over 20 different states for that event. So there was kids, telling me that I need to, pay for their Airbnb and all of this. So it was tough, and not knowing when the next time I was going to be able to throw an event. I was in the same state, thinking as Yvonne, maybe it lasts a month or 2 months, but it lasted a lot longer. We had to reschedule it twice, and that same event scheduled for October 16th, 2021. Not going to promote too much of my own event, but I'm excited that it's actually going to be able to happen even almost 2 years later.
Right.
So.
But you've been able to have a few successful events since things have started to reopen. What has that kind of been like for you, both?
So for me personally, the only events that we've done with Downright Entertainment, in the past year and a half, have been with Yvonne and Drew Jameson, who isn't with us, but Drew Jameson is definitely a big part of why St. Louis was able to see live music with Yvonne himself, and the entire Jamo crew. I couldn't thank them enough for providing a safe space that's socially distanced and done properly for us to execute shows. I know there's a lot of other promoters in other markets, and even I think there's a couple in this own market that were doing events that were drive-in style and through FM routers. And for our style of show that we want to be able to bring, FM routers just don't cut it. We want to be able to bring a good sound system that you can actually sit in front of and hear it at the intention that the artist created it at. And I don't think you're going to get that experience through an FM router. So we were able to do 3 shows total with them. One was supposed to be 4, one ran down unfortunately, but super thankful for the the 3 shows that we were able to execute, because if they weren't here, we wouldn't have been able to do any. So, appreciate you immensely.
Dude, we appreciate the shows. They're always fun.
Thank you.
Since my boss doesn't want to book that type of music, apparently. No, yeah, so, right after I got home, and everyone was safely back in their home places from tour, I kind of just nestled in for the month or 2 that I thought it would be, kind of touching base every once in a while with management about what they thought was going to happen next. And the venue that I was working for, so I worked with Drew for the year or 8 months or so prior to the pandemic, as I started in the summer at Atomic Cowboy working for him over there. So we had a little bit of a work relationship, but it wasn't too much. So I got home and, kind of settled in, and he called me, I want to say maybe in April or so. He called me and said, hey, do you think you can design a COVID-safe venue? And not too much out there to look at, but it seemed pretty straightforward. You keep social groups separated from other social groups. You limit the number of people in that social group, and you do your best to keep them separated or masked or whatever the guidance was going to be at the time. And then, you just managed your limitations. But so that's basically what I did for April through, we planned to open in July. We thought we had it nailed down by July, but let me just tell you, after a delay that was just a mutual delay on permitting and things like that, we realized that thank goodness we didn't open in July. We were definitely not ready. So we had some things to iron out, which we did, and we opened in September. I want to say maybe the last weekend in August. I can't even remember now. We did 1 show, 2 shows in August, and then the rest was September through the end of October. And it was crazy, but I gotta tell you right now, operating during that time, which seemed like the most tight, crazy time of COVID, that actually seemed to operate more smoothly than the way things have gone in 2021, just because in 2020, everyone that was trying to be safe with COVID, nothing really changed about how you were supposed to be safe. It was stay apart from each other, wear a mask, stay home if you're sick, don't take chances. Not a lot of people were working, so it was kind of, it felt like there was a straight and narrow path that everyone was moving down at the same time. This year, the goalposts just won't stop moving. You think you nail down one process, and then guidance changes, and you have people that want something because the guidance has changed, and you have people that are still feeling unsafe or have not yet been vaccinated, and we're just navigating these crazy waters right now where every single day, I'm literally almost every day we change the layout of the venue that's outside. It's nuts, it's crazy.
What are some things that have come up for you that have worked and that haven't, in regards to like following CDC guidelines and everything?
I'm not gonna lie. We have been extremely lucky seeing just horrendous videos online of people throwing fits about having to wear masks or whatnot. The music community here in St. Louis, with the exception of a couple knuckleheads here and there, but nothing really major, everyone played along because everyone was just so grateful that in the city, I'm not gonna lie, for a minute here, St. Louis was footloose town. You couldn't dance anywhere to music, like you just couldn't do it. So because we were outdoors, because we had these huge patches, 9 foot by 9 foot pods for 4 people to sit in, and they could take their masks off and stand up, we got to let people dance. So we were like the one place in town, and we made sure to address that with people, whether through social media or directly before, after, during shows, that we needed them to be a part of the team, because the success of shows ultimately always depends on fans, but during this time it depended ultimately on fans and their behavior, because we were under a microscope. Being that large, 250 people during a pandemic, seems unwise until you look at the systems in place, but we're definitely under a microscope from every angle, from every position in the city. It was crazy.
How do you think all this entire experience is going to shape how you are able to put on events moving forward?
I think by the time the fall comes, that it seems like the rest of the country is planning on operating at full capacity. But moving forward, I'm just more thankful for the capability to be able to throw events, and also, I appreciate it so much more because you don't really know what it is until it's gone. I know a lot of people lost a lot during the pandemic. So just the appreciation of being able to, stand next to one of your friends during a show is going to be huge, and being able to actually, mingle throughout the crowd. And for our shows specifically, I know with all music, but our shows, with electronic music, being able to interact with the crowd and go see your friends. A lot of people go there to make friends, so it's going to be really big for our, electronic scene and the dance community to be able to, come back into a space and actually be able to hug their friends and feel safe about it. And also feel right about it, that it's not an unsafe party being thrown, and they can, operate and feel normality to some extent now.
Yeah, beyond even the safety factor of how it feels to go to shows again, there's another very crazy piece that's behind the scenes, and that is that a lot of the qualified people that put on events in the past have moved on. And not to say that the people that stuck around are not qualified, but a lot of the talented people in our industry moved on. They were talented, they could do whatever they want. They kind of looked at the writing on the wall and decided it was time for a career change and won't come back. And we're seeing that play out now as, for better or for worse, a switch got flipped for the industry to come back. And you can tell by the frantic nature of how things have been going on that everybody's kind of feeling the same pressures, the same kind of rustiness. And to top it all off, there's not enough people to go around to work the events, to provide the support staff for the people that put on events. And it has been, we're lucky here at our operation that we have a good, very, very loyal and family style crew that works here. But I know that across the industry, there's a big shortage, for sure. So I think that'll present some challenges moving forward. But if there's anything about putting on shows, is that anytime you're in the weeds, just look at your peer next to you and say, that's showbiz, baby. So, I feel like, this is just another in a long line of hiccups that feel potentially catastrophic, but the show always goes on.
True.
Yeah, as event creators, you're essentially a problem solver across the board, and it's inevitable that you're going to have a problem arise in any event that you throw. It's just all about what it is, and how you accept the challenge and overcome it. That's what I've learned a lot over the years. Nothing's going to run as smoothly as you anticipate it to. There's always going to be hiccups, so you just have to be able to adjust and pivot yourself and figure out how to accommodate those.
Which I think speaks volumes to why so many of the people in this industry left, because that's what we're good at.
Yeah.
We're good at recognizing the problem and being able to turn on a dime and fix it,
I'm so inspired by the innovation I've seen from the creative industries since the beginning of COVID. Like even being able to have drive-in concerts is
Right.
so fun, and that wouldn't be someone's first choice to think about putting on an event like that before this. But now that's probably going to be more common, right? I would hope so anyway. What has been the most refreshing and exciting part about having events in this sort of weird era that you wouldn't have expected to be stoked about?
I would say some people, we had a lot of different responses about the pods. Some people were super into it and they really enjoyed it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I get my drinks delivered to me.
I never want to go back.
I can stand up and dance and not have to worry about, some guy groping me or something like that. And they don't have to feel they're uncomfortable in the space that they're in. If they want to only talk to their 4 friends, it works. They have a space to sit down. So that was really awesome just to hear positive feedback about it. I know there's a lot of people who wanted to run across the parking lot and go hug their friend, but it was awesome. Like Yvonne said, the attendees were part of the staff at that point, because if they didn't act accordingly and follow the rules, they wouldn't have been able to move forward and continue to keep doing the events that they were doing.
Yeah. And they were really good about it, and they've continued to be pretty good about it. Now that we're on the back, at least what appears to be the back end of this, and we kind of like shuffled between this GA and pod lifestyle. It's you can tell that people were starting to get pretty tired of it towards the end. But again, still great people. They all still continued to play along no matter how tired they got of it, which was great. What was really refreshing was, I would say that during a very tumultuous year last year when we did the lot and were able to put live music on a stage, put live music employees back to work, start sending bands home with money, that just in general felt incredible. You know, getting to be back at work when everything was going on, and it was such a whirlwind that it went by like that. I mean, it was 7 or 8 weeks that just went by in the blink of an eye. And then while we were living it, it felt like every day was enormously long. We had to build and take down PA every single night. So it was basically like setting up and tearing down first day of a festival for 2 months. But it felt great to do it, get back to work, and then we got to huddle down for the winter and start planning for 2021. It honestly all kind of fit together as well as anything's going to fit together during COVID, during a pandemic. So that was refreshing. The other thing that was mostly refreshing is I stopped drinking. So that was pretty great.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, I dig it for sure. Well, I'll tell you this, I don't think I would have been able to do half of what we've had to do over the past year or so if I had had a hangover for even one of these days.
It's a lot of work that goes
It's been crazy. Yeah.
Something that was pretty refreshing as well, just the support that we still had after, you know, months. I knew just since it was the first show back that it was probably going to do pretty well, but we announced that Kill Smith, Ultrasoft, and Duffrey show like five days before the show, and we're still at like 90% capacity. So that was really awesome to see the support from the community, be super welcoming back to go to an event and executed properly and safely. And that was a reason we were able to get, you know, more opportunities and goes at it. Agents and other people in the industry were all aware of what Yvonne and Drew were doing, and they all respected it. And it, you know, it was a huge help to be able to keep people busy, help put some money in people's pockets who weren't going to have that opportunity. So very appreciative of everything you guys did and are still doing.
What are your predictions for the future of the music industry?
Man, you know, long term, I don't think you'll see too much change come out of right now. I think you'll see certain artists maybe want to stick with some of the precautions that helped keep them, you know, a little separated from the crowd. But other than that, I don't really think you'll see that much of a change. There was such an obvious hunger to return right back to normal. There was continuous ongoing, like whatever you want to call it, before times parties during the pandemic. And, you know, I think if anything, you'll see some different standards be put into place with how venues are designed in general, just that they'll get designed so that they can maybe withstand an upcoming airborne pandemic. So better ventilation, more built-in ways to separate entrances, all the things that we learned that you have to do during a pandemic. New venues that open might start incorporating those. But as far as touring goes, I think you'll see a really weird year to two happen while everyone scrambles to get back online. So from the touring logistics side, you basically have everybody in a certain tier looking to get back out on the road at the same time. And then you have tiers higher than that that require more production, more people, things that maybe can't be pulled off right now, hold off for maybe an extra year. But in that scramble, what you have is everyone diving into a touring schedule that looks exactly the same, which most agents try to avoid, but everyone's trying to get out there. Right. And then on the venue side, you've got talent buyers that aren't totally sure of what will stick and what won't. We're kind of confused about perhaps ticket buyer behaviors right now. We don't really know what's going to placate the ticket buyer. We don't know what they're looking for right now. We don't know if they're looking for, you know, sweaty back-to-back shows indoors. We don't know if they're cool with still being separated outdoors. So all that's going to play into like this weird situation of trying to get your calendars in line and know what risks are reasonable to take right now. So it just kind of has everybody working on edge. And then, like I said earlier, everyone is currently playing from behind in one way or another. Either you're changing your plans completely from socially distanced shows, or you're trying to do what we're doing, incorporate social distance with GA, or you've sat away in the wings while the pandemic played out, and now you're jumping right back in. But does your client base still exist? You know, it seems like just a confusing time to be a talent buyer, and I'm super happy I'm not one. Shout out, Drew. Yeah.
I think, you know, in the future and, you know, even like in the fall, something that we may see is, like Yvonne said, everyone's like diving into it at the same time. So you're going to see a lot of shows scheduled. Everyone's gonna be really excited to go back, but I think you're gonna see large-scale artists playing on a Tuesday that you typically would see play on a Friday in St. Louis in the past, and maybe even some like schedule conflicts, like you want to go to like 4 different shows in one night. You know, there's gonna be a lot of artists touring they're at a specific tier. I agree with, you know, the people who are at like the top tier. They're probably waiting another year before they get all their production specs and everything and hitting the road. But I think you're just going to see, you know, it essentially like explode back open, and you know everyone's trying to fill their calendar and fill it well. But I don't think anyone's necessarily behind the 8 ball like they'd like to be. Right now. But it's you know, like you said, it's showbiz.
Yeah.
And it's a part of you know, adjusting to and accepting the challenges and being able to problem solve. So.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
Shall see indeed.
I can say this. It's been a minute, and it will be still another minute before most of us get back on tour buses.
Yeah.
A lot of just like I said, getting calendars together and things like that. You know, like agents are under the gun to get their artists out there, but then you know, you used to be able to cherry pick your routing and pick the venues that you go to, and you're kind of missing a lot of that now because certain places just either don't have what you need at the moment, have closed. So you've got all this zigzaggy routing, which means a lot of fly dates for people. It's crazy out there.
I'm interested to see how it all plays out for real.
Oh yeah, me too.
But on a small scale, it's promising. You know, we'll see how that all trickles out to the big things. But like even festivals, we'll see.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
There's gonna be a lot of festivals in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh
Which
man.
is
It's insane.
better. I love that weather.
It's be festival on top of festival on top of festival.
What is it, like the original fall 2020 festival schedule is supposed to will still happen? I'm
Yep,
sure.
and then all the early summer and midsummer festivals that moved into late summer and fall stack up on top of those. Should be an interesting August through November this year.
Thanks so much for sitting with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Chit-chatting. It's good
course.
insight and promising. So yeah.
Awesome.
You
Thanks.
guys are killing it too. So I mean,
Oh, thank you.
I'm not even from St. Louis, but I appreciate what you're doing for the city.
Awesome.
He's the one really killing it.
Yeah.
You're not even called that. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.